Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be, she says she needs space. I've got an email here from a viewer, and it's obviously not something that you want to hear from your girlfriend. But before we get into his email, I got a quote I'd like to share. And it says, too many men screw up their chances with women they are dating or their girlfriends by smothering them with excessive texting, contact, and pursuit. They incorrectly assume that they have to prove themselves to women. The reality is that nature is already taking care of attraction. When a man and a woman are sexually attracted to one another, it's simply a matter of spending fun times together and not constantly trying to determine where you stand or if they still like you. When you constantly question your own value and attractiveness to your lover due to neediness or insecurity, eventually they will question it too and back away. Let's go ahead and jump right into this guy's email. He says, hey Corey, I've been talking to this girl for about 7 months. We've had some bumps on the way, but nothing very major, at least in your eyes. He says, we were talking, and after about 4 months in, we decided to make it official. And after a week, she broke it off with me. He says, she told me things were going too fast and she wasn't ready for a relationship. Well, that tells me that you're pursuing her too much and you were too focused on locking her down to a commitment. Never a good way to go, because you may have heard the quote that I shared before, is that when you love somebody, you must love the person in such a way that they feel free. And so what happens is when you start smothering, you start chasing, you start focusing on dating, relationships, labels, where do we stand, what am I mean to you, that kind of stuff, it causes the woman to feel like she's going to lose her freedom. And it causes her to feel like she can't be herself around you because she's worried about living up to your unreasonable expectations. And anytime you do that, she's going to run away, because in essence what you're doing is acting like a woman. And that's not masculine behavior. That's actually feminine behavior. And a feminine woman, polarity-wise, wants a guy who acts like a masculine man. But when you start to act like a feminine man, you start to act more like a woman and less of a man, it's going to naturally turn her off and turn her stomach to you. He says, she told me she wasn't ready for a relationship because we started talking 2 weeks after her 2.5-year relationship, and she wasn't sure she was ready to fully commit to this. Well, that just happens to be the excuse, was, oh, I got out of a 2.5-year relationship. But the real issue here is you were pushing too hard to make something happen too soon, instead of just hanging out, having fun, and hooking up, doing no more than 20 to 30% of the calling, texting, and pursuing, setting 1 date per week. And then as she starts to reach out to you more and more, as her attraction level grows over time, then you just use those phone calls or those messages to set up your next date. And so what typically happens is after about 3 or 4 weeks of this, you start seeing each other maybe twice a week, maybe sometimes 3 times a week. But what it does is it allows the woman to come to you as her attraction level grows. So it never fucks with her level of safety and comfort. That way, over time, she starts coming to you more and more and wanting to see you more and more. And it's just a natural progression to a relationship. And it's usually right around week 7, if you're doing things pretty much textbook, like I talk about in my book, that she brings up, hey, where's this going? She brings up the conversation herself about boyfriend, girlfriend. And that's why when the guy brings it up, he's always bringing it up too soon, because unless the woman is talking about it, she's not emotionally at that place yet. He says, this was completely out of the blue. No previous warnings. Well, to me, it's not out of the blue. It's obvious. It's like this is going to happen when you pursue too much and you push too hard for a relationship, and you're always focused on whether or not she still likes you and she still cares about you. Because a guy who understands women and is successful with women is not going to be questioned. He's going to be like, of course she wants to be with her. Of course she wants to be in a relationship with me. If she's not there yet, of course in the future she's going to bring it up at some time. I mean, when you look at the old movies from 30, 40 years ago, the women were always chasing the men, trying to get locked and nail them down to a commitment. But the feminist movement has totally fucked that up and totally destroyed the sexual polarity. And you see that in all the movies and TV. They always show the guy's got to try to prove himself and chase after women But if you've been following my work for a while, you see that anytime a guy does that in real life, he gets the exact opposite effect, exactly what this guy's doing. He says, she told me to give her space and not contact her if things were ever to get picked up again. This girl likes you, and she's telling you this is exactly what you need to do, dude. But you're not paying attention to that. You're just seeing what you want to see, and you're always worried about what you may or may not get from her. You're allowing your fear of loss to totally cloud your judgment and your actions. And this girl's trying to help you get things right. She says, in other words, let me call you. Stop running after me so much. That's what she's telling you. And it's awesome that she's doing this. This is what the typical woman does, but when the average woman says things like this to a guy, the guy just completely ignores it because the only thing he's focused on is the fact that she's slipping away. Women are like cats. If you read my book, then you understand that. It's like when the cat runs off and goes and roams the neighborhood, you got to let it go and roam the neighborhood. When a girl says, hey, I'll call you later, and then she doesn't, you don't come unglued and call her later yourself or call her the next day when you haven't heard from her. You got to let her call you. She will call you when she's ready. Sometimes women will purposely do this to see how you react. And if you call and don't wait for her, that communicates neediness and insecurity, and it's going to cause her to back away even more. I know it's counterintuitive, but it's what actually works. And when you understand sexual polarity, masculine and feminine energy, it makes total sense why it works that way. He says, after a month of no contact, she checked in to see how I was doing, and it was right when my grandfather had died. I told her things were shitty, and she came over, and one thing led to another, and we hooked up and started talking again. Awesome. Hang out, have fun, hook up. Perfect. Really simple. Do more of that. Let her come to you more. Never do more than 20 to 30% of the pursuing. Whenever the guy goes past that magical 30%, it's too much. And the woman starts backing away, and she'll never fall in love when a guy is doing more than 30%. It's just the way it is. I didn't make women this way. If you don't like it, talk to the creator about it. He says, now we've been dating for a little under a month this past week, and she got frustrated with me because I initiated sex but forgot to bring condoms. We have had some issues in the bed, like I'll take forever for me to finish, but she always gets off, and we usually have sex a good amount. We do live an hour away from each other and only get 1 to 2 days to see each other every other week. He says it is hard on the relationship. In other words, it's not hard on the relationship, it's hard on you. And you're pushing too much, that's why she keeps pulling away from you. And if you just let her come to you, she'd be smothering your ass. She'd be doing what you've been doing. He says, but we make sure to text and talk as much as we can. Remember, the phone is for setting dates, not chit-chatting. Because what you end up doing is you end up talking her right out of liking you. He says, after she decided to stop all things sexual while in the middle of everything, that I would grab my stuff and act like I would leave. He says, truly immature, honestly. After a little and finally packing things up, she said, well, since your stuff is together, you can leave now. I was shocked. He says, after asking her what was wrong a million times and trying to apologize and fix everything, all you're doing is further communicating that you have no idea how attraction works and you don't understand women. That's a total fucking turnoff. It's like you're communicating, I don't know how to act like a man around you. He says, she told me I was annoying, and for the last 2 weeks I was always getting on her nerves. Yeah, because you're pursuing her too much. You're acting like a woman, and it's a turnoff. He says, I got kicked out for being annoying. You know, you got kicked out for acting like a woman instead of a man. He says, she told me it wasn't the condom thing or anything before that, but that the condom event was just that spark that blew everything up. Because you were probably apologizing to her. Oh, I'm sorry. You're not acting like a man. You're acting like a guy who's got to prove himself to her. And that's... You're not acting like a guy who deserves to be with her. She was obviously attracted to you from the get-go, but it's like you think that's going to evaporate. Well, it does evaporate when you act this way. He says, after I left and she said she needed space, I didn't text her until 8 p.m. that day when the event took place around 3 p.m. Well, I would have just said, hey, call me later when I left, and I would have waited to hear back from her. That's what you should have done. Because she's being nasty to you and she's saying, well, go ahead and leave. I'm like, your attitude should be like, all right, I'll see you later. Call me later. Call me when you want to be sweet and loving to me because I don't like your attitude right now. That's what you need to say. You need to stand up for yourself. You're not doing it. You're just letting her jerk you around and mistreat you, and you just sit there and take it. And then on top of that, you start apologizing for your behavior. You never apologize to a woman for wanting her. He says, a text read, how was the party? I thought maybe some time away from the night might calm her down, but she didn't respond. I didn't get anything back. The next morning I sent her a text. Another mistake. You should have waited for her to get back to you. You're over pursuing this girl. She tells you to stop, and then you just keep doing more of it. He says, I sent her a text saying I felt disrespected for being kicked out, and we really need to talk soon about what happened. And let me know when she read my text. She didn't respond back. I had to run up and grab something by her apartment, and I let her know that I had to stop up there, and if she wanted to talk, she could. It's like, dude, you're still chasing her. It's like, come on, man, seriously. You really think that's going to work? He said, I know that's what they show in TV and the movies all the time, but it doesn't work in real life. He says, she said she didn't feel like it then, and she said she would call me later. We texted maybe 5 or 6 times yesterday. In other words, you probably initiated it because you didn't wait for her to call you. And I tried to give her the day to herself. No, you didn't, because you kept texting her. It's like it's like a cat. You're like, when you run after a cat, the cat runs away, and then like you keep running, it's going to keep running from you. He says, finally last night we were able to talk. I found out she's unhappy. You think? Not used to sweet text or lovey message. No, she's just simply not used to a guy who acts like a woman. It's a total turnoff. He says, I have not said I love you. He says, she gets annoyed when I send them and look for a response back. It's more approval-seeking behavior. He says, she told me that her relationship with her ex was dysfunctional, and now that ours is functional and the complete opposite, it's a big change. He says she said she's been waiting for 2 or 3 weeks to see if things will change and the whole lovey stuff and me expressing my feelings to her. But when she became distant, I became more lovey-dovey and tried to get her back that way. So you over-pursued more. So you over-pursued to the point where she didn't want to talk to you anymore. And then you pursued even more than that, thinking that will make her want you more. It's like, come on, dude. You're ignoring reality here. He says, which in turn made it worse. Like, yeah. He says, after watching some of your videos and reading some articles, I began to realize that I lost power and became too feminine. Duh. He says, she doesn't feel as if we could last 6 months or a year. Well, it's like, obviously with that kind of behavior, you definitely wouldn't get 6 months or a year. He says, and she just doesn't know if things can change. In other words, what she told you to do was just relax and let me come to you. And you just won't do it. You won't let go of it. You're literally chasing this girl right out of your life. And she was digging you. He says, I stated we could work through things. There's nothing to work through. You just need to start acting like a man and stop acting like a little bitch. I'm sorry, but that's what you're doing. He says, I stated we could work through things that month and really wasn't long enough to really see where we were going. Well, it was long enough for her to know that you're acting like a needy, insecure guy, and the guys that act like you do usually turn into stalkers. And all women have been approached and have dated enough guys that act like that to know how things end up. That's why she wants to get out beforehand. He says, she said the whole lovey-dovey text had been going on for so long it's hard to think things will change. In other words, your needy, insecure behavior has not stopped. It's only gotten worse, so I don't see how things are going to get better. That's what she's telling you. He says, I stated that I really wanted to make things work and I'm willing to try, and I really want her to also. Well, you got to listen to what she's telling you. You got to take her feedback, and so when she says, let me call you later, let me come to you, you got to let her do that. So when you say, I'm willing to try, and then you just completely ignore her instructions of what she doesn't like what you're doing, you saying, I'm really trying to make it work, that it doesn't register in her mind, because you say one thing, but you continue the same behavior that's turned her off. It's like you're not getting it. He says, she said she needed space and not to contact her so she can think. Again, she reiterates telling you what to do. He says, she said she needed a couple of days to think about things. The last text I sent was last night. Dude, she said she needed to think about things and you still pursue her. It's like, come on, man. He says, the text I sent last night stated that if she breaks up with me, I deserve it. Now you're apologizing again. I deserve for it to be done in person and not over the phone. It's like, you're like begging her to break up with you now. And now you're telling her your state of mind. I'm assuming you're going to dump me because this is what always happens. You're acting like a loser. You're acting like a guy that doesn't deserve to be with her. And she has no choice but to treat you that way. He says, I care for her a lot and I want to show her. Dude, she knows. She gets that you're into her. Trust me. And I want to show her that she can be someone that she can be with. She says eventually she wants a guy that acts like me, but doesn't know she's ready for that now. In other words, she says, all this stuff is fine when I'm head over heels in love with you, but you got to let me get to that point. It's like baking a cake in the oven. You got to think of sexual attraction as like that. It's like putting a cake in the oven and letting the dough rise. You're the guy that keeps opening the oven every 5 minutes going, is it done yet? You're like the kid sitting in the back of the car on a family trip. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Every 30 seconds. It's like, come on, dude. Because I'm being torn up inside and it's only been a day. I don't know what to do. She told you what to do on numerous occasions. You don't need to do nothing. Nada. She says, let me come to you. She didn't say, keep texting me until you just totally drive you bananas. He says, I really don't want to lose this girl. What you fear, you attract. And I'm afraid it's going to happen. It's like, well, you're making it happen by your behavior. You're not going to get anywhere by stalking her and acting this way. He says, like you said in one of your videos, usually when they say they need space, it means they are trying to break up with you. That's not what I said. What it means is to slow down and to back away. You should always assume that all women want you. And even if that's not always going to be the case, but when a woman says she needs space, what she's really saying is like, dude, you're rushing, you're pushing too hard, you're trying too hard, you got to let me come to you. That's what she's telling you over and over, and you're ignoring that. He says, I'm asking as a boyfriend in need of some real assistance because it's obvious things aren't going well. Well, you're fucking it up, bro. It's all you. The guy that you see in the mirror is the one that's making a mess of things totally unnecessarily. He says, how do I show her in my time frame that I can change and she will want to stay with me? Listen to what she told you to do. Let me come to you. That's what she told you. Stop. It's not about your time frame. Women are going to do what they want, when they want, with who they want. And you can't, it's like trying to get a rose to bloom. It's not over-fertilizing a rose, over-watering the rose, giving it too much sunlight. It's not going to make it bloom any faster. All you're going to do is end up killing the rose, just like you're killing your relationship. You're killing this girl's feelings for you. He says, I'm afraid she's going to leave and then want to come back again like the last time. Well, the reason she came back is because you actually listened to her. You let her go, and she came back to you a month later when she felt comfortable. But then you went right back to your bad behavior and you chased her right out of your life again. He says, but I don't know for sure, and I don't want to have to wait around again because that will hurt more. Well, grow a set of balls, bro. Be a fucking man. You gotta get your balls to drop and be okay. It's like, because this girl, when you don't hear from her, it's like you're looking for validation of yourself in her. That's completely unattractive because you're acting like a guy who says, well, I'm not valid, I'm not a man, I'm nothing unless I have you in my life. Women don't want that. They don't want that responsibility. They want you to be happy, whole, complete, and to love your life on your own before you get into a relationship with them. They don't want to fix you. They don't want to complete you. They want to share their completeness with your completeness. He says, I want to prove to her that I can be someone she wants to be with. Great. Listen to what she's telling you to do. I'm looking for advice and since she will contact me in the next day or so, I really could use a response back ASAP. Well, the quickest way to get my help is to book a paid phone coaching session. You can do that by going to my website, click the products tab. That's the quickest way to get my help, but it's usually going to take me at least a week to fit you in. And right now, as far as the emails go, I'm answering emails from 4 or 5 weeks ago because I just get inundated with them. It's overwhelming. He says, I know you're busy, but I would honestly like your help because I don't want to lose this window of opportunity. It's not a window of opportunity, dude. You don't have to do nothing. Just hang back. Wait for her to get in touch with you. Start dating other girls in the meantime. And when she reaches out to you, assume then that she's ready to see you. Make a date to hang out, have fun, and hook up. Just like what happened when your grandfather passed away and she happened to call you right that same time. You're like, yeah, I'm feeling really shitty because my grandfather passed away. She said, oh, baby, let me come over. It's like, sure, honey. One thing leads to another, and you hooked up with her. You let her come to you. You should never do more than 20 to 30% of the calling, texting, and pursuing ever because it will turn women off. Women need to wonder about you. It's a scientific fact that women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. And the problem with you is your feelings are way too clear. She never wonders where she stands. You're just literally smothering this girl with your needy, insecure behavior. You will get treated like, every woman will respond this way if you treat them like this. So, I will talk to you soon.